always an issue. So, all right. And Stacy, you can hear me okay? Because I can't see any faces now.
Yep, everything sounds good.
All right. Well, here's my agenda for today, and I've got about 30 minutes. I'm going to first talk about export numbers, since the topic is how is CCI driving exports. Then I'm going to talk about collaboration, because the collaboration that we have with the Cotton Board, Cotton Incorporated, NCC, SPEMA, AXA, AMCOT is critical to what we do. You know, we want to go forward when we are talking to our customers outside the United States with a unified voice, which is what we do. And then I'm going to talk about our three biggest priorities at CCI, which is sustainability and the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, Cotton USA Solutions, which is our technical team initiative, and then talk about some of our events that we do to educate our target audiences. And then, as Grant and Stacy said, we'll take any questions that you have. But let's start with exports. As you know, we export now 85% of our raw cotton fiber out of the United States, 85%. That's up, by the way, if you went back 20 years to, early 2000s, it was running about 69%. So that number has continued to climb over time as our U.S. mills are using, less U.S. cotton. We'd love for them to really grow and be using more and more U.S. cotton. I think there's more opportunity now with some nearshoring opportunities going on, but we're at 85% export. Where does it go? So, and the reason I put this up here is this is where CCI focuses our efforts. It's all driven by, where's the business? So China is number one, and you can see this is the marketing year 21. So ending in July 30th of 2022, and China was almost double the next nearest country, followed by Turkey. And I'm going to talk more about Turkey in a minute, Pakistan, Vietnam, Mexico, Bangladesh, India, Indonesia, and then our Central American friends, Guatemala and El Salvador. By the way, a quick note, this is just U.S. cotton exports, okay? So if you looked at total cotton exports, so where is the total business going? China and Bangladesh are kind of neck and neck for the number one position. So, if you look at the numbers here for U.S. cotton, you can see that Bangladesh represents a significant opportunity for U.S. cotton to increase our market share. Because again, they're importing almost as much cotton now as China is, 8 to 9 million bales a year. So how about this year? Have the numbers changed? Not a lot. China is still number one. Interestingly, Pakistan is now the number two export market. And I can't remember, some of you have sat through our presentations at the NCC annual meeting. Pakistan used to only import somewhere in the neighborhood of 350,000 bales of U.S. cotton back in 2015. You see that number has grown by 6 times over the last 7 or 8 years. And honestly, if Pakistan had more hard currency reserves, the government has run short of dollars, so they're restricting the use of dollars to buy U.S. cotton and other commodities. There's a chance that Pakistan would now be our number one market. They love U.S. cotton. We work extensively in Pakistan, and it's become, again, it's a terrific market. So, and again, we take people there all the time. Some of you may feel like, oh my gosh, Pakistan is dangerous. Not where we go. The places we go to are not dangerous. And so it's, again, it's a great market. And Vietnam and Turkey has suffered this year. I'm sure you read about the earthquakes that took place earlier in 2023. They had 2 devastating earthquakes. And unfortunately, the epicenter of those earthquakes was in a place called Adana. And that they really rippled through the big mill areas of Gaziantep and Kahramanmaraş, where again, many great US cotton customers are. And, in many cases, it wrecked their spinning mill. In some cases, it just, knocked it off kilter. Spinning mill operations are a finely tuned operation, like a piano being tuned. And if it's out of tune, or if it's just off by a millimeter, the spindles don't run very well. So Turkey has been hard hit by that. They're back. I talked to our guy yesterday, probably 60 to 70% now of capacity, but it's still going to be a long, slow slog going ahead. Bangladesh is actually having a good year and has moved up to number 6. And we're excited about that. And I think we're going to have some good news to report on Bangladesh going forward. So that's the numbers. Now let's talk about collaboration. Again, I mentioned how important it is that when we go to our customers outside the US, we take a unified approach. So we do information sharing at events. We work hand in hand on cotton sustainability program and the US Cotton Trust Protocol with Jesse Daystar and Stephen Piers. We innovate. We've got a program that we're working on in the UK with Kim Kitchens and Andrea Sambar called Cotton Lives On. And we're working with Vicki Martin and her team on engineered fiber selection, which is EFS, which has been a big success as well. We just had our global staff meeting. I have a meeting once a year to bring in our 60 CCI consultants and staff, get them all together. And then we include there our China, Hong Kong team. By the way, they attended for the first time in 3 years. They were allowed outside of China, and China is now open again for business. We also had 5 representatives of the Cotton Board, Elizabeth King, and Cotton Incorporated, as you see below. The China-Hong Kong deal is a big deal. As a matter of fact, I am going there in June to the China Cotton Association meeting, and we'll speak there about US and what we're doing with US cotton, and there's 800 attendees, so that'll be a big deal. Our theme and our focus for CCI is achieving what we call peak performance. We want to do the very best job possible for US cotton. So what's that mean? We needed to improve our ability to recruit new members to the trust protocol. I'll talk more about that in a minute. We trained our country representatives on what we call consultative selling techniques. We ensure they have the most up-to-date knowledge on cotton, and we developed 2023 plans to achieve regional and functional team objectives. Okay. Hey, can I ask you guys, Grant, can you see this thing at the bottom where it says you are screen sharing or not?
No, we can't see that.
You cannot see that. Oh, good. I'm the only one. All right. So what are the priorities for CCI? Again, sustainability in the protocol, Cotton USA solutions, and educating all our customers about the advantages of US cotton. So I'm going to talk more about each one of those in turn. Sustainability. You guys are probably sick and tired of hearing about sustainability because so many of our growers, for decades, you guys have been, growing cotton in a sustainable fashion. But it's become so important to have more than just doing it. You have to prove it to everybody. So it's become even more important because of regulation, both in the EU and US. And I don't need to talk to you guys about regulation. The other reason it's become so important is investment groups. So these are mutual funds, pension funds, all these huge investment groups are actually looking at the ESG, environmental, social, and governance reports. By the way, I apologize for the siren in the distance. You can probably hear that. That's welcome to Washington, D.C. But this is a really important part. A third of all the investment dollars that flow into publicly held stocks, equities, are in part determined by their sustainability, their environmental, their ESG efforts. It's $17 trillion. So, money drives, behavior in a lot of cases. And in this case, the investment groups demand that these companies become more sustainable. And finally, of course, the media and NGO focus around sustainability and transparency, so no forced labor. So I predict, and this is a Bruce Atherley prediction, that by the year 2030, at least 25% of all the cotton in the world will need to be sustainable. And what does that mean? It means that the cotton is produced on a program that the brands consider sustainable. So each brand has a list of cotton that they consider sustainable. And I'm going to tell you right now, U.S. cotton, very unfortunately, is not on all of those lists. But the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol has given us the wherewithal and the ability to get on their lists. As you'll see in a few minutes, we are getting on many more lists with the protocol because of the rigor of that program. So let's talk more about that for a minute. First, the program really, we started developing it way back in 2017 and 18. We really didn't kick it off until 2020. That's when membership opened and we were out there actively recruiting new members, brands, retailers, mills, and manufacturers. What we call our protocol consumption management solution, which is our traceability solution, became operational with our partner Textile Genesis in 2021. And then in 2022, and I'll talk more about this in a minute, we were awarded $90 million as a grant to help drive our cotton sustainability efforts. The program in only 3 years has been recognized around the world as a best-in-class sustainability program. We've been recognized and accepted as a sustainable cotton option by the Partnership for Sustainable Textiles, which is a German government organization that has 97 companies. Sledge Taylor and I went there in Sledge, I'm trying to remember, 2016 or probably 2017 or 18, and made a pitch to them about U.S. cotton. They would not accept us as sustainable, but when we went back with the protocol, they said, okay, you guys passed the test. We've also been accepted by the Textile Exchange and Forum for the Future. Big, big deal. We've been working closely with a lot of the organizations around the world in terms of sustainability. We have joined the ISEAL Alliance as a community member. We work with the Sustainable Apparel Coalition. So we're really now really well integrated globally. And what that gives us is credibility for the brands, okay? How about you out there that are growers? First of all, we've had 1,340 of you sign up for the program. We've got 823 that entered all your data for 2022 into the protocol system, 1.2 million planted acres and 2 million bales. So that is terrific progress, by the way. That was up, I think we were at 600 with full data. So do the math, that's like over 33% growth year over year. So it's a terrific progress, and we thank all of you that are members. And I know you're saying, okay, you told me, this was going to be a good thing. Well, show me why. And we'll talk about why this is so important going forward. But thank you for your support of the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol now. So we also have been out recruiting, and CCI is the sales force, if you will, for the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol around the world. So we've recruited over 1,300 plus mill and manufacturer members in virtually every country where textiles are manufactured. So these aren't just spinning mills. These are spinning mills. They are fabric manufacturers, garment makers, everything, in the textile supply chain. And so we're really proud of that. And the reason that's so important is that when we go to brands, they say, well, let me look at my supply chain and let's see if you have any of my supply chain as a member. And we can look at it and say, absolutely. From a brand standpoint, we've signed up 25 brands to date, including huge brands, Gap, Next, Old Navy, PVH, which is Calvin Klein, Tommy Hilfiger, Target, Ralph Lauren, Gildan. we've got a tremendous number of brands that have joined the protocol and are actively starting to trace their products through the system, which is really important. And again, I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. You can see that our demand estimate for the number of bales we need, because the way this works is when you are a protocol grower, your merchandiser loads those bales into our PCMS system, and then they are eligible to be shipped to a U.S. Trust Protocol mill, who can then record that shipment and then pass them along, so that every node of the supply chain, from the beginning where it's, U.S. cotton, so country of origin, all the way through to finished garment, can be tracked. So we're estimating our demand will be 3 million bales in the marketing year going forward, which is, again, you can see really, really fast growth. Now, interestingly, so that is all U.S. cotton, but what about what we call protocol cotton? So protocol cotton is actually the cotton grown on a protocol grower's farm. So all U.S. cotton is eligible to be in the program, going back to the previous chart. But to be protocol cotton, it has to be grown on a protocol grower's farm and then tracked all the way through our traceability system, what we call identity preserved, so that at the end, for the finished garment, for instance, I'm wearing a Supima shirt today. This is, certified to be all Supima cotton. At the end of the day, if we do protocol cotton with this shirt, it'll be certified as protocol cotton. And a lot of brands now are tired of mass balance, even if it's all U.S. cotton. They want to know exactly, where that cotton came from. And so we're getting a lot more demand for protocol cotton going forward. I mentioned this word traceability a couple of times. Why has traceability become so important? And arguably, it's become more important than sustainability. And the reason is this little region in red, and this is a map of China, and that is Xinjiang. Xinjiang region of China is where there has been alleged abuse of the minority group called the Uyghurs, okay? And because of that abuse there, the U.S. enacted a law called the UFLPA, the Uyghur Forced Labor Prevention Act, which is being enforced by U.S. Customs and Border Protection. So brands, as they bring in product in containers from around the world, are subject to this law. And if U.S. Customs and Border Protection believes that there is any suspicion that those goods have been tainted or made with forced labor, whether the cotton was picked there or the textiles were made using forced labor, whether in Xinjiang or other countries, they will stop that container and not allow it into the U.S. For the brands, this is a huge, huge, huge issue. And so they are very focused on proving, because they have to prove to U.S. Customs and Border Protection where their products came from. And ideally, they're made from U.S. cotton. We can show them through our system that it's been traced and is free of forced labor. A quick note on the Climate Smart Grant. Again, this was a great collaboration between Cotton Incorporated and NCC and CCI. The protocol got $90 million. These are all the partners, okay, that participated in the Climate Smart Grant from the USDA. And the objectives are really, again, to drive even more sustainable growing practices for U.S. cotton. So the first one is to enroll 1,650 U.S. cotton farmers. So you can see we've got a total of 823 that are entering full data. So with this program, we can double it. And there's, can't remember the exact number. I'm going to say in the neighborhood of a maximum of $3,300 that's available for those growers that join the protocol and enter their data. And then there's $73 million in financial assistance to farmers to support long-term adoption of climate smart practices on these acres. So this is a big deal. It's a 5-year grant, and we just got the formal approval this month for the money. So that will start to roll out immediately. Again, there's the 5 years. And again, the other contributors to the program were Cotton Incorporated, Target, and NCC. And again, I want to, hats off to Barry Worsham, Jesse Daystar, Stephen Piers. They have been instrumental in bringing the program to life, making it bigger and better for the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, whether it's Jesse speaking at events, co-sponsoring events, textile exchange, and we're writing the climate smart proposal. So again, we work hand in hand. Let me quickly move to the Cotton USA solution. So again, some of you may have heard me speak of that. This is really what we call our technical team. And the objective is to promote and increase sales of U.S. cotton yarns and fabrics. And why is that? Well, when I first started at CCI and went around the world talking to mills, I would say, why don't you buy more U.S. cotton? And they would say to me, Bruce, your price is high for U.S. cotton, and we don't believe there's enough value there to warrant us buying U.S. cotton. Obviously not, for every mill, but there were a substantial number of mills. So we said, how do we prove to you in your mill that U.S. cotton processes better? So what we did, we started small, but then we've gradually increased that program. So now over the last 3 years, we've got what we call a fully functional team supporting mills around the world. And this is a big deal because Brazil and Australia are our competitors for U.S. cotton, right? Because they're all machine picked. This is our point of differentiation. Brazil, for instance, I'll be at this China conference. Brazil will be there as well. Brazil and Australia are running farm tours around the world like we are. They've copied pretty much everything we've done except the technical team. This is what the technical team looks like today. We've got 9 people around the world. And what these guys do, they do 5 different things, really. We do mill studies, technical seminars, mill exchange program, one-on-one mill consults, and a mill mastery course. But the thing I'd like you to take away is the big thing they do is they go into spinning mills and they show them how U.S. cotton will actually process more efficiently. It will run faster, run better, fewer stops, less waste than cotton from Brazil, India, West Africa, etc. And then they will in turn buy more U.S. cotton. So that's why it's really important. We measure this, we survey everything we do. 94% of customers stated they'd like a follow-up visit to be scheduled. So it's really getting great results. And we work closely with Cotton Incorporated in this. We have the key concepts of the EFS system, included mill mastery, and then we also pass along potential clients. We actually facilitated the EFS team and not been into Pakistan in over a decade. And again, we've been there we have a representative there. We've been there for many years working there. So EFS is now working with a couple of mills in Pakistan, which is a great, collaboration effort. In the interest of time, I'm going to skip past these other 2 things, but we're expanding our offerings to do more things for mills so we can show them, again, the value of U.S. cotton. One of the bread and butter foundational things about CCI is what we call our educational events. We do things like what we call cotton days, technical seminars, sustainability webinars, virtual vendor visits, sourcing fairs, farm tours, all with the intent of educating our customers, again, whether they're brands, retailers, mills, and manufacturers, about the advantages of U.S. cotton. Again, all machine picked, 100% class, high quality, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So these are the different vehicles that we do. We ran 40 of those in 2022. So there's almost one a week. And then in 2023, We've run regional mill mastery courses in what we call SAG, that's Bangladesh, India, and Pakistan. I just came back from Korea and Japan last week. We did seminars, Korea, Japan, and Taiwan, talking about sustainability. We just ran an executive delegation to Latin America, where we took a group, including James Johnson, the chairman of Cotton Incorporated and a grower out of New Mexico, down to Latin America, doing technical and sustainability seminars in China, Indonesia, India, and trade shows in the other countries. So what are the results? 94% satisfied with the results overall, 96% very likely to recommend future U.S. cotton events, and 85% likely to purchase U.S. cotton. And then we ask them, how much more U.S. cotton are you going to buy? Almost 1 million bales. So these things are long-term market development. They take a long time to build, but they work. Upcoming activities, we've got a ton of things going on. Again, I'm not going to go through all these, but it's a very busy calendar. And again, one of the things we like to do is take our growers and to as many of these as we can. And we're taking, many of you have gone on our trips. Sledge, I know, has, Brent Nelson. I mean, we love to have you guys, because nobody tells the U.S. cotton story better than our growers. So in summary, as I said before, it's all about collaboration. It's all about teamwork. That's how we get to peak performance. We work together on the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, Cotton Lives On, EFS. We educate brands, retailers, mills, manufacturers about the advantages of U.S. cotton, the U.S. Cotton Trust Protocol, Cotton USA solutions. And again, it's all about long-term market development. And, from the survey results, you can see it's been pretty successful, and it never stops because we have competition. As I mentioned before, Brazil is growing more and more cotton. They will increase their exports this year, and I think they'll grow probably 12 or 13 million bales. And if we come in around the 15.5 million mark, we don't get enough rain in Texas, then, Brazil will be very close to eclipsing us as the #1 export provider of cotton in the world. So with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and turn it back over